Welcome back to Morning Express. We're glad you're watching. So we're starting the way it is a little bit early today. And our guests are already in studio with us. Hassan Omar, Mombasa Senator. We have Amber Sweda as well, who's a prominent city lawyer, joining us. Karibuni sana.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're smiling.
No, I wanted you to add prominent senator just as it's,
we believe that you can't be a lawyer if you're not prominent. And a senator, if you can't be a senator again if you're not prominent. You know, people of office election.
Thank you. I like the color scheme between you and Sophia. Well coordinated.
It looks good.
Yeah,
we're going to start a party very soon. we will ask you to start a political party.
Yes. What will we call it? Yellow?
That's neither here nor there, but we'll start a political party.
And we'll be the coordinating duo. No way.
Take over placenta.
No, we might be jinxed if we go that way. But thank you for joining us. And let's start with one of the stories you will be attending to this morning. Governor Timami set to, is it the bail hearing that's happening?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So
let's talk about the arrests. First, arrest of, the governor. What do we know? What information do we know? And how this plays out in the bigger scheme of things.
First, before I go there, first I'll thank the KTN Standard Group for tailoring their 7 o'clock news towards Ramadan and wishing us Muslims Ramadan. We started yesterday.
Yes.
And it's a month of sacrifice, so the mood is just set in. And to the second story, I think all of us insist on the innocence of Issa Timami, governor of Lamu, and purely because of the facts that have been in public domain on the basis of the attack being that which is Al-Shabaab. And to try and draw a local connection, I think is stretching the imagination too far. I do not believe in the ultimate there will be any evidence. I think it's one of those schemes that governments must resist that temptation to subject its innocent people to. But secondly, Timami did inform me directly that he was called and I think it's also in public domain, he was called, he was in Nairobi, meeting with, I think, the second number 2, the deputy president. He got a call from the police asking him to go and record a statement in Lamu. He did tell them that he was headed to Mombasa, whether it would be convenient for them to meet him in Mombasa. And the police insisted that it's just a very small event, just to record 1 or 2 little statements to respond to a few things. So he took a flight landed in Lamu at 2 p.m. That's at Manda, crossed over to the island. He recorded a statement, and around some minutes to 5, they asked him if they could join him to the other side of the island because they want to go with him to Piketone, only for them to just lob him into a cab, 2 waiting vehicles, drive him directly to Mombasa, and then bring him the next day to court and say that they now suspect him of murder, forcible transfer of population, and terrorism, and ask that they be given 14 days to complete the investigation. In us, we think acts which we believe are totally unacceptable, that border largely on intimidation. He's a sitting governor, and there were practical ways in which the very areas will have been handled with decorum. I've heard the prosecution insist that they treat all Kenyans equally. And we're not saying that they should have treated Timami any better. We're just saying that they should treat all Kenyans with dignity, be it Timami, be it anybody else. So what they're actually trying to prove is that they degrade the treatment of Kenyans, and therefore that Timami is no special case. I think the argument is the reverse, that no Kenyan should be degraded in terms of treatment in certain circumstances. So I need to head to Mombasa this morning, and many of us are headed there. We're grateful to the UDF party for also attesting to their innocence, and I think quite a number of court senators will also be there to first as legal to enter on record, to go on record on behalf of Mr. Timami, so that we can build a legal defense. The Council of Governors has contracted for him 2 lawyers, Ahmed Nasser and Issa Mansour, who will be represented today by Mr. Wanyama, who will be holding brief for them. So I think all is in top gear.
Ambrose.
Thank you. May I take this opportunity to wish the Muslims happy Ramadan.
Thank you very much.
They will take occasion to reflect on the future of this country and why we need peace. With regard to my senior, Mr. Timami, maybe my sentiments should be viewed on the basis that as a colleague, he's been a friend and a supporter in my professional career. Personally, I know Timami. He is, unless he has changed since he entered politics, he's a man of peace that I know. But I do not know what the police may have had against him. What I would say is it is wrong for anybody to attribute this to government and to make it a Jubilee Timami affair. That is one. Two, I'd also urge my colleagues that let them not codify the whole thing. Let it not be a code thing, a senator thing. Let it be a legal process. We have good lawyers. Once they have hired lawyers, let it not be a bit of drama that will cause unnecessary tension, unnecessary politicization of a process.
But you get where they're coming from, because
Yes.
following what the president had to say after the Mpeketoni attack, saying there are politicians behind this, and that to be the first, at least high-profile politician we're seeing,
Yes.
the government set the pace in politicizing this whole affair. So they then following suit, can they be blamed for that?
You see, what I'm talking about, politicizing it, is you will see the kind of drama, the kind of music that now you can see the senators rushing there. Not that it's going to represent him or to add any legal value, but they are going to use it as a political game. Yet, once you are taken to court, it's a legal process. What you need is a good lawyer. You need the evidence very quickly. You need to follow the legal channels, get bail, which you apply for. If they don't get it from the magistrate, they get it from the High Court. And the court has been fairly liberal. You understand? But you hiring people going there with aircrafts and coming with lorries of various people to now moon in front of the court. That's the politicization that I'm saying is not proper. It's not even good for the judiciary.
I wish you had told
Yes.
Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto to do the same when they were going to The Hague. So don't exercise double standards. I think what happens is political solidarity. Much in the same way they believe in the innocence of their leader and their party leader or their coalition leader and their deputy. We also believe in the innocence of Timami. And I think when we're looking at it from a pragmatic political point of view, that the president gave the most unfortunate statement. It's been said everywhere. It's been mocked in international media. It's been mocked in local media. Everybody knew that there would be a wave of victimization. And therefore, in places where even organs of government, institutions like the National Police Service, and particularly the CID, are not independent or reformed or transformed the way we had hoped, I think it is reasonable to expect, with even the kind of ethnic configuration within security machineries, that there could be an emotional attempt to justify the president's sentiments. And that said and done, I think it's only realistic for us from a political point of view to act as that buffer, because if you allow them to pick James Smart for what they might term as rogue journalism, the next day they will pick Sophia Wanuna,
So
and then the next day, before you realize it,
travel
there will be no journalism. And I think what happens, in fact, journalists have done this more than anybody else. Whenever anybody has attempted to interfere with the independence of your institution, they have learned it the hard way. In fact, some people today can no longer rebuild their credibility and reputation, partly because of how you played them in the media. I remember at the time when people were proposing certain laws, like there was a choreography of all the media houses. You bring out the man and say, this man wants to do this, and you bombard us. And every other time, they say in Kenyan, whenever statistics are out, they say the most trusted institution in Kenya still remains the media. The only other time that was rivaled when we were in the KNCHR. We used to almost share that slot. But that said and done, I think there's good value in standing in solidarity with a politician, with a friend, with a person I know very personally. I have supported issues that I identify quite closely, sentiments that we feel uncalled for, and a drama of a process that tries to victimize a very innocent person.
Let me just put this caution. I think this scenario has put my friend Issa Timami on the market for the court brigade and what they are doing now. Issa Timami is an unmanaged senator. which every day, every Monday to Saturday or Sunday, the court have been saying that is an affiliate of Jubilee through Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. But now I think they think there is one extra. They say let's do enough drama, and that is why it is being put that it is like the Jubilee government are the ones who have now taken Timami to court. Now it is not the police. Let's not.
Let me
finish. Let me finish. Now suddenly it's so darling of the court brigade that they want to bombard the court. I urge you people, allow soberness, allow the judges to have soberness, the magistrate to look at it, and you'll be surprised if they release people like Maina Njenga. They would release Timami very easily. But if you politicize it, they will say this judge is a Jubilee judge, this magistrate is a Kikuyu, is a Jubilee magistrate. All these things, let's keep off.
I wish Ambrose had some sense of information, history, that to know that our identification with Issa Timami is not a coincidence. First and foremost, you have to realize when Issa was faced with a potential of a by-election, when the court initially, High Court, nullified his election, and the court did decide that it was not going to field a candidate, and we issued a statement signed by 22 court senators supporting Issa Timami's bid.
So you've always been behind him?
I think you see, when a man is a good man, you share in terms of his vision for a particular county or the country. Okay. And therefore, I think he thinks that this is just one of those tiptoe, weak, knee-jack, Jubilee type of reactions. No, we are very deep.
We want to take a short break and we'll continue with this discussion and others when we return. Don't go away. Morning Express continues in a moment.
Today's program lineup. Dettol Soap's non-stop protection formula has the power of Dettol, which gives non-stop protection from germs for 24 hours.
All day and all night.
Mother's weapon for non-stop protection. Dettol. Be 100% sure. We've got it all covered. Passion. Adventure. Reality. Game shows.
Welcome to Dave.
We make the next big stars in comedy, music, and entertainment. All in one. KTN.
Join M-Shwari. Save and earn interest. Dial star 234 star 6 hash to lock your tunes and rock your dreams. It's time to attend the one and only Samantha's Bridal Wedding Fair at the Sarit Center. There will be an amazing fashion show every day from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Entertainment. Food tasting, draw prizes.
The winner is Eresia Wanjiru.
It's a time to get your whole bridal party involved. Stop by and see the top wedding suppliers in the industry. For additional information, visit www.samanthasbridal.co.ke or call 0722 480068.
The night is young, the skies are clear, and if you want to go walking, dear, it's delightful.
Next on Ajabu.
Get all your data, SMS, and call needs in one convenient pack that you can use across networks.
A drunk dreamer disrupts the peaceful calm of a Nairobi suburb. turns into a battle with the police. Plus, a man tries to survive an interaction with the police.
Choose a Tosha pack from 10, 20, 30, 50 and 100 shillings. Dial star 767 hash to get started. Airtel.
Welcome back. You're watching The Way It Is here on KTN. And yes, started a little bit early, but yes, we're rolling on. Mishimoko, hot soup, head speech. Let me start with Brother this time.
Yes. Let me tell you, the whole of last week I was in Rwanda. I had occasion to, on Saturday they had what is called Muganda, public service work together. I joined them, and then after that you have government policy, you talk. Kigali seems to be the safest city now in the world and the cleanest, and the whole country is clean. Now what those people have gone through has transformed their lives. It is, you look at it, you feel it in the bones. You come from outside with the freedoms of Kenya, we speak anyhowly, you go there, you can see it. Some of us here talk loosely because they think when the country burns, they will be safe. Some of these people talking anyhowly, they do not know that a small thing can bring down this country. Some of them do not even look at the 207, the 1 week of brief cutting, when people cut each other briefly. They didn't appreciate that. So they continue talking loosely. It may not be hate speech. I may speak, it may not even be hate speech, but it is a speech that hurts. It's a talk. It's something that goes into the bones, that continues to water discord, continues to create hatred in the country. For instance, I can come up and somebody knocks my vehicle from behind. I come out, and instead of saying you are a bad driver, I say this Kikuyu or this Luo or this Kisi. It may not be hate speech, but you can see it is loaded with hatred inside.
But what about hate action? What about hate action, really? You know?
Yes.
Because that is a speech, that is an afterthought. What is about the action, you know, the action of itself?
Somebody will not knock you in, you will not be saying as you are driving, hii ni gari ya Jaluo, waja ni twangi. Like, I was shocked when I was told, in Rwanda, if you knock somebody down and he dies, it is automatic, you will be taken into custody for not less than a week. So immediately I said, no, you people, you can't do that for a traffic offense. That is illegal. In Kenya, that's illegal. They told me, hold on, Mr. Weda. It is for your sake that we lock you in. If you remain outside, the kinsmen or kinspeople of such a person would think you are still pursuing their genocide, whatever, and they will come for you. So I said, oh, so you need to understand. An action that creates continue watering hatred. Let us be very careful. What that fellow has said, you should be very careful.
Unfortunately, Ambrose did not understand you about that action. Is don't expect to tribalize a government and expect the opposition not to speak about it. That's what it simply is telling you. You're the one who's appointing. You're doing everything empirically to show that you are tilted towards exclusivity rather than inclusivity. And therefore, then, you see, one of the weapons of tyrants is silence. They expect you not to say it. When you say it, you'll be called anti-this, anti-Kikuyu, anti-Kalenjin, anti-Luo, anti-what. I think what we need is to have a fierce debate around ethnicity in this country. And I don't believe in this. In fact, I must commend you guys for doing a good job last night and the day before, you know, discussing ethnicity for what it is. and allowing people to express their views and opinions. I hate the sugar coatings of the likes of Ngunjiri. It's very lukewarm, subtle, hypocrisy. The truth is, Kenyans need to bring out, the reality of what ethnicity is all about. Don't expect a government to tribalize itself so much. So I told you, I gave you an example last week when Kibaki ended up appointing literally a galaxy of people from his region. I wrote about it in the articles, and when I went to the NCIC, it was empirical. What is fact is fact. So I think there is no other better way of expressing these issues. And for as long as you said here, something is not hate speech, for as long as it is within the confines of the law, it can be said.
That is a conversation. Yeah.
And therefore, that's a conversation, yes. And therefore, I don't think we should fearmonger. Kenya is not even close to where Rwanda is. So the fear-mongering, this is a very fascist kind of thing. They peddle fear, they peddle the adversity, so that you can allow them to continue their corruption and tell you that the nation is bigger, only bigger to those they are telling. But for them, they exercise all this, blanket, transgressions of the Constitution. So I don't think we buy that philosophy.
Let me just clarify this. We celebrate our ethnic diversity, and it is there in the Constitution. It is the sowing of discord. If, for instance, President Uhuru appoints his friend Gunjiri, or appoints his friend Joguna, or appoints his friend Mududo, or appoints his friend Kamau, how does the Kikuyu people come in?
Because the Constitution says, this Constitution, I mean, lawyer, it says ethnic diversity. Ethnic diversity means even if Salim, Muhammad, whoever, Qasim, Aisha are my friends, yes, I have to diversify. It is the dictates of the Constitution. And then to demystify your friend thing, yes, there are values of the Constitution's Article 10, which says public appointments must be done in a competitive manner.
Now, that is why I'm saying, instead of balkanizing, instead of demonizing the Kikuyu people, you are supposed in Parliament or Senate to get and deal with the President. You people, you don't take Kikuyus. You tell the President, Your Excellency, come here and tell us why you are choosing this, your friends. You don't say this Luos.
And why you have not been chosen. You have been not chosen. Anyway, ethnic diversity is a dictate of the Constitution,
right? And
it will be defended inside and outside Parliament, wherever, because I think sometimes, and first of all, if CORD sets its strategy only with respect to the National Assembly, it's setting itself for failure. There is an overwhelming majority against the CORD brigade within and a cacophony with what Junaid said, like a high school with a double intake. Did you read that very interesting tweet with, what do you call him, the speaker, as the principal and Duale as the head boy? And because they're just whipped. I found that the most interesting comments coming from a member of the National Assembly, but also it shows you the frustration. They just come in, they validate whatever wrong or right. There is no debate, there's no discourse, and therefore I think it is setting yourself for failure if you pretend that a National Assembly is an avenue forward.
On the issue, I guess, of hate speech, we'll watch how the various people who've been taken to court will develop, the politicians. But let's talk about what Lenku said yesterday in church. He says former politicians are recruiting Mungiki, MRC, even Al-Shabaab, and he says he's going to talk about this and not going to be afraid. What are your thoughts?
Exactly what Lama did. I'm not afraid to say that they have started recruiting the Mungiki sect to advance their political agenda.
Now, I would say that what Lenku said should have been said, but it should have been said by you or somebody. Lenku is the person who is in charge of arresting people. He should arrest people who are doing bad things. He should not be the one who is blowing, saying, I've seen. Him, he should be arresting. Yeah. Then we ask him, why are you arresting Omar? Why are you arresting so-and-so? Then he says, Omar, recruiting so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. So he has changed the roles. To the extent that he has changed the roles, I think he's doing wrong.
So Ambrose, to understand this, yes. I mean, how serious should we take a cabinet secretary who goes to church?
Yes.
Not anywhere else. Goes to church and makes that statement. You know, how serious can it? Honestly, I'm just trying to understand.
Isn't he lowering himself to the noise in the
understand.
political circle?
I think you people need to understand that what I've just said, Lenku may not understand his role. He may not. His role, it should have been, in fact, he should not be talking, he should be waiting. You have recruited the wrong people, we arrest you. It is us who should be asking him, why are you arresting all these people? So what he's doing is, he may not understand. And I think we were talking about a failure of the system the last time we were here in terms of security. It does not change that somewhere. Now he's worsening. I've been very sympathetic to him, but when I heard him also talking, I realized he's lost.
You know, you remember I put a tweet, I think, which went quite extensive. It was laying the groundwork for us to withdraw this censure, perpetual censure against Lenku. We said, why blame Lenku? I said it's the Malay system that is systemic. It is the leadership that is failing. This is just, as I said last week, this is a man who knows most everything about hospitality, about juice and cutlery, and then here you are, you're telling him to use the same knives to undertake a surgery somewhere else. I think he's going to kill the patient. And you see, I think what we have surrendered to when we got to that point of frustration as a coalition is that we have appreciated that you might have a class of 40 students, you know, and there's one who will always be number 40. What he needs is extra coaching and extra homework. It is likely he will get a D in his school, but you do not. But you have to also look at the broader. You have to look at the broader systemic issues. Yeah. So I think what I think Lenku has decided to do is to refuse to go beyond that bar. You know, we felt maybe Westgate, maybe not. We thought maybe now again, maybe.
But why not then pursue the censure motion? Why not?
See,
because there's no
But you see, what happens for us in the political arena, though, I remember I got a few calls. We're taking that very seriously. Because whenever they say that, they are at the verge of arresting some former politician. So in fact, I'm thinking, who is this former politician? And who is this opposition leader who's now coordinating Mungiki or recruiting Mungiki and Al-Shabaab to cause havoc? I think what is also happening, you have to realize they have failed drastically in the management of national security. So you need to shift focus. And I think what you need to do then is to arrest this whole brigade, because what is happening in Kenya right now, we had split right in the middle. And constituencies are not moving anywhere. And nobody appears to be helping that. So you'll arrest, you'll be accoladed. You'll just look at the social media, who is accolading the arrest of Timami and who is against it. And then the next day you will look for a former politician from the Coast Province or somewhere else, and then just do the prosecution. In fact, I almost names came to my mind when he started saying that. Former politicians recruiting Al-Shabaab. You almost can tell who might be their next target.
So who do you think it is?
Let me not say it, but almost.
Say it. You know, it will be said. It was first said by Hassan Omar on
Who is a former politician of high profile? Maybe Farah. You know, things like you almost can prejudge. So everybody then, you know, you have this red alert. You have to start to, you know, they're very predictable. So you know, what you need to do is to now, you know, develop that. Initially, when immediately they said, this is a local network. It was evident that they were going to victimize somebody within the cost political arrangement. And you have to realize that just recently, Timami hosted governors and senators in terms of cost political unity, because we no longer want to be a rubber stamp of any particular agenda. We want to ensure that as a matter of interest, our interests are taken care within that broader framework of interests.
This is a problem, as you make your remark. This is a problem with this kind of, you know, goings on. You know, that you have internal security who appear to just, you know, be happy with the politics going on. And this, again, you know, as you might see, it's going to be another political, you know, battle going to build for the next few days.
What I'm trying to say, you can see that the court brigade, they're looking for the wood to lose in the fire that they've lit, the bonfire, and Lenku seems to be giving it to them. It's given it to them, and now you can see they're already speculating, so and so will be arrested, so and so will be. I think we spoke when Pekatoni took place. We said somebody needs to take responsibility. The Inspector General needed to take responsibility. He has not. Lenku needed to take responsibility. All these people. Otherwise, they are giving them the fireworks that eventually the president would take responsibility. He should be told, and I am telling him, to avoid such talks and to act. If it is my friend here recruiting Al-Shabaab, we want to see action, and serious action that with evidence, instead of those talks. Those talks are equally divisive. They divide the country, and they fuel the hate tribal talks, and it's not good for us. It's not even good for investors.
In fact, Lenku went farther to tribalize his talk.
No, not to my salt. We have already considered it.
He talked about a tribe.
He talked that one tribe, one people are preparing the victimization of one. And I think what happens is, I was just wanted to appreciate, you know, sometimes when you are not consistent in your flow of thought, that's why you tend to miss out. We continue to say that it is the government that has perpetuated this polarity in terms of their sentiments and statements. Wakili here has just acknowledged it, that these are the things that escalate the embers of ethnicity. You know, to go in a church in some place in Central and tell people what you decided to tell them. You know, I think if anybody must be arrested for hate speech, I think it's totally him. I think that's just unfortunate in anybody's basic interpretation. Even if the Jubilee cacophony can think of the same, then what else? What are we expected to think? And this is what I mean. It's when you have a weak team, it is always fodder for defeat. So you cannot tell us that it's a question of giving Jubilee firewood. Firewood, yeah.
Withdraws the censure motion against, you know,
although the member of parliament says they're still going ahead with it.
Yes. But yes. Really? Lenku is whose problem? You know, is it a Jubilee problem? Is the court's problem? You know, what?
Now, I don't think we should narrow down the national security issues to the censure motion or whatever. Anybody who is doing good should be able to stand up against anybody at any time. Whether in parliament, if Lenku was done well, he should be able to stand up. Our team should be able to represent in parliament and say, we have done this and this. Now, when he has done wrong or he has spoken, and I urge our colleagues on the other side, the fact that Lenku was at Utali does not mean he can only deal with plates and whatever. He could. There are many people who have done very well from wherever they have been. Even you have just been a lawyer, but you speak more like a warrior. So, if what Lenku has said does not amount to what should have come from a cabinet minister, again, he takes responsibility, says, here, I spoke, I meant this, or this was wrong, and I withdraw it. It would not be every time he speaks, that is the Jubilee has failed. These are individuals. They also have individual responsibility. They fail in it. Some also make it. If you take, for instance, Engineer Kamau, he's doing a good job, speaking little, but working. Others speak more and are not working. Lenku is speaking. He knows those who are recruiting Al-Shabaab, but he's not ordering anybody to be arrested. So you can see those who are failing, and they fail as individuals.
I want to sympathize also with the ethnic configuration in this country.
Yes.
In this sense, we were in Ntulele, and Lenku enjoys fairly wide legitimacy within the Maasai people, because he's one of their boys. Because in this country, we have no culture of sacrifices of one of your own. And number two, I think based on the very hostile ethnic competition and arrangement that the present establishment finds itself under, you know, the Maasais are not sure if if they were to have a replacement, whether another Maasai will take up the position. So I think if only we had set our sail on the path of competence, that Uhuru's arrangement of cabinet did not appear like an ethnic arithmetic of which populations voted for them, or which particular regions voted for them, I think people would have been more at ease. As I said once, I was one of those who dared to dream. When I was in the CORD planning team, I was adamant to Raila and Kalonzo that we have given you the Nundu, the biggest share. I do hope once this is over that I will see more people of the diversity than justifying 4 Kambas, 4 Luos into cabinet. Because if it's like Obama, he was given the position of the U.S. presidency as an African American. You didn't see him proliferating the whole cabinet with African Americans because you have taken the bigger slice. So I think those are some of the issues that must come into mind, because you're the chief executive. If we have given you the chief executive position, you should be able in your gravitas to let go. But you see here, we want to eat everything. You want to take all the strategic dockets. You want to manipulate and you know, victimize everybody else. So then the propensity towards tilting towards tyranny.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the Nairobi governor, Evans Kidero. One would have imagined, following the recent wars he's had in his party and the entire court team, he'd be careful to make utterances that would seem to be antagonizing the Raila team. And now he goes out and says that he's against the mass action, which Raila and others in court have been adamant about, that, you know, we'll continue with the push for national dialogue. But now he's saying mass action a bad idea.
In fact, Sabasaba Kidero breaks ranks with Raila.
That's the headline.
Let me tell you, politics aside, you understand Kidero, the disconnect he has. He runs Nairobi. He came from the private sector. He looks at the country and he looks at what needs to be achieved. His court brigade in the field fighting. So he has to weigh and look at it, the reasonableness. You call Sabasaba on Monday, riot and break a few things and beat up people, and where necessary beat up Kikuyus because Uhuru is taking everything and giving to them according to that side. The cost in the economy, the actual cost, money lost, will be in millions or billions. Now this is where Kidero says, look, honestly speaking, mass action at this time. But he runs a tightrope because he has a by-election which may come. And they're saying, you are not with us. Hey, you are finished. I understand this disconnect. And I appeal to my colleagues here, as you monga things, look at the country also, please. Look at the economy. It is fragile. We have had our difficulties with the security, with Al-Shabaab, and as you call for this action, whether mass or sectoral or whatever, go slow on it. Pray it is Ramadan. Tell them it is Ramadan. Let's not do the mass action. If they want the rally, let them go for that rally.
There's nothing wrong with doing anything in Ramadan. In fact, you peddle a notion, some of you who don't understand Islam, that this is a laid-back month. This is the month of higher sacrifices. In fact, I'm really disturbed by the kind of eloquence in terms of food that people are preparing in Mombasa. I think that was never the intention of Ramadan. I think we learned from my grandfather that that's the time we prepare the least dishes. So if you come to my place, I'll serve you with probably the most basic. You know, so I think that's how we were cultured. Even if at this point in time, I thank God He's endowed me with a little extra, but I try. This is the month of sacrifice, and I actually try to tell the household to compute what is the extra that we are saving, so that we can be able to give it out, because that is what the sacrifice is all about. But that said and done, I think you see, Kidero, like every other, like Mutua and anybody else, can hold the opinions. They were never part of this whole movement that actually has led to this whole Sabasaba D-Day. And it has nothing to do with breaking windows and beating up Kikuyus. It is these people, man. That said and done, I think out there, you're talking to the national media and people listen, my brother. Trust me, so you're not talking to Sophia and James. That said and done, what Sabasaba simply does is the climax. So we're going to have nationwide activities on a program that will be shared. And I think Raila, after the Kidero debacle in his homecoming, was really dissuaded by a couple of friends and allies not to go and rehabilitate Kidero's political career. He went there against the advice of many. I think he's a gentleman to that extent. Raila sometimes doesn't even appreciate who his adversaries are. But that said and done, I think maybe it's his good nature. But that said and done, I think Kidero has made a statement, I believe, is talking from a position of being a CEO. And I think most governors delude themselves that they're CEOs. I think only Mombasa governor and a few others realize that being CEOs, they'll finally face the ballot. Mm-hmm. And when they face the ballot is a political ballot. It has nothing to do with your CEO skills. And I can tell you a lot of people who who left banks and decided rather than being governors of central banks, they wanted to be governors of counties, lost desperately. And I have a lot of my friends who are professionals who came in with all these mountains of plans and strategy. I kept advising them, you join there, you will win. Even some of the friends I was telling them, join there, this is real politics. Forget your little, wonder world. So I think what is going to happen is eventually the CEO will be tested in a popular vote, and I think what he needs to weigh is his interest vis-a-vis whatever utterances, because nobody intended Sabasaba to be a bane to the economy or to the country's
people not working.
Economy. Yeah?
You see.
Holiday, people will not work.
This preoccupation with elections and winning, and you have seen even you are in ODM, and you have to jump out to wipe, and then now continue living in denial throughout with Raila instead of saying, look, you tossed me out, I went elsewhere. For 2-3 years after election, we cannot be preoccupied with elections, such that even the governor today, what is not good for the city, what is not good for the country, he needs to support it just in case he will go back to election. Let us run Kenya. If by 2017 August, the second Tuesday, at that time people feel you didn't do a good job or you went with the wrong people, you go home, other people come in. But for now, let the country develop. This Sabasaba, Nane, all this, even Matiba has rested. He was one of the people who was in it. We cannot stop you from working on a Monday. They beat up people along the way if they come out to say we have declared a holiday, illegal holiday. If you don't come for that, if you defy it at your own peril, please, you people, calm down. Let the country pick up.
Let me just tell you something.
Please.
You see, removing from ODM to Wiper is no contradiction whatsoever. It's like getting out of one bedroom of the same house into another, but still sheltered. And Raila is still the coalition leader and Alonso its deputy. So therefore my support for them and the coalition is not a contradiction. I think you need to graduate your thinking a little more than the parochial, narrow anti-Raila crusade. I think and you told me to live meaning living in denial, meaning what? To support Jubilee. I think if Raila were to jump into Jubilee today,
you'll come.
He will be by himself. And I think if you look at the people, listen, I represent interests that are diverse, interests that have faced one hostility after another. The worst derogation, the worst disrespect we have gotten in our almost 50 years of existence as a country. Not Kibaki, not Moi subjected us to that type of degradation. And therefore, if I'll be foolhardy to tell our constituency of people who are victimized by the very regime that this is the regime that you must give your heart out to. So I think, in my own assessment of things, I think we're on course.
All right.
Brilliant. Let's start winding down. The senator, has to leave, in a few short moments, if I would borrow that line, from my very able and worthy colleague.
It will soon look like it is yours.
Right. ICC trial chamber, have a week. I think the government has a week to, go through and say the points about, not giving the ICC, the accounts of the president and the statements, of the president as the IC had requested or the prosecution had requested, and asking for other ways. Your thoughts on that?
My view would have been that knowing the facts I know in this country, knowing what I knew about the post-election violence, I honestly believe that we should not act before the ICC in a way that demonstrates that there is something to hide. It would have been easier to compile those things and show them this is what we have. This is because at the ICC they believed there was funding, there was millions rolling down to beat up our communities and kill them. We know the reality down there was totally different. So trying to act in a way that appears like you're hiding something heightens the suspicion. And if I was with the AG, I would say, look, tell His Excellency the President where his accounts are. There is accounts of the family, accounts of the business. Where his accounts are, show them that at this time, this is what I had. We didn't remove any money to beat up anybody. Finished. But if you continue fighting it, you look like you are hiding something. and it makes those people more suspicious. And in the ICC, their decision is not so technically legal. It's the rule of the thumb. That's why they can even go to the exercise of saying, you have refused to come and testify, we order you to come, which is contrary to international justice principles, where a witness withdraws and says, I was lying. You say, no, you have to come. So they should understand that dynamics and then
James,
do it. Finally, I would like to say that all of us Kenyans are responsible to this country. Let us try to promote cohesion. When this country burns, it can burn in a day. And all the good things, all the sabasabas we are talking about will not be there. So I wish my Muslim brothers nice and to shun those sabasabas and carry on.
To remind the lawyer that the greatest pillars of a cohesive country is justice and equity. And those institutional, those principles have been guaranteed in the Constitution. But just on the ICC matter, I think I totally understand what Kido is trying to do. If this position holds on the Ruto case 1, it's called Kenya case 1, then it has an implication on Kenya case 2. If you do realize that Uhuru's case had melted on the basis of withdrawal of witnesses. So restating witnesses in the Ruto case, if you've seen the parallel applications that the ICC, the OTP has been making of the prosecutor, so once you have, it is heard through the appeals chamber, then it says, fine, witnesses can be called even if they withdrew. It means it restores Uhuru's case to its original form. So it means the way it had melted off will now restate it to where it was, because now all the witnesses who had withdrawn from that case, which made that case almost impractical to proceed with, will be summoned. And for that, there will be none, it will put the country in a very difficult situation of non-cooperation. But for me, the ICC trial is a blessing in the sense that I have mentioned this. I have been accused in public platforms of fixing people. I saw the other day the defense of no other than the Deputy President, William Ruto, put out its litany of people who fixed them. Now, that's a place of strict proof. Forget a political platform I saw that I'm not the institution. They had talks of me in first person, and I can tell you for a fact, even if case 2 proceeded, there will be nowhere that any mention of myself will come up. So I think what we play into the public gallery of politics sometimes is severely rebutted when it comes to an arena of strict proof. And I feel strongly that it is going to be a difficult point for the country, but I share with Ambrosweda that I think we must exercise all reasonable measures and actions that will ensure that we hold this country as a unit. But that does not mean we must not debate and debate fiercely. Like what you have done in the last 2 days is a fierce platform to debate ethnicity, and very few people debate it. It's important to debate it. It's important for me not to be dishonest to Sophia or James Smart. The minute I turn around, I say, oh, Atu Wajui. It has to be. If I need what I can tell you to your face, I can tell it to anybody else.
Well said. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Of course, started a little bit early. Again, we end early to allow Mheshimiwa to travel. Thank you. That's the way it is for you this Monday. But do stay with us. The show continues shortly.